and they are already saying those two words you should not say in February: World Series. That's what this offseason has done. And if you look at the prices, BetMGM still has the best price in America on the Red Sox World Series, 25-1. Some books, though, as low as 20 and 18-1. This is what offseason hype does to a baseball team.
Yeah, maybe pump the brakes a little bit, right? Don't need to just completely dive into that number and play some futures just because you have a big trade like this. Obviously, a great pickup for the Red Sox. Much needed right-handed bat coming their way. I mean, we heard all the highlights. The guy can clearly hit, that's for sure. But yeah, jumping in on the Red Sox, who missed the playoffs last year, feel like they kind of disappoint every year. I mean, other than Lucy Burge, who's on the network with us, loves the Boston Red Sox. She could talk about them for hours. I think maybe talking about the Red Sox in World Series fashion needs to be pump the brakes a little bit. Sam, also Nick Pivetta going over to the Padres from the Red Sox. A move just to add to their pitching rotation, their depth there, not terrible.
Yeah, they got the most out of Pivetta in Boston. They were happy to utilize him over the last couple of years, but they weren't going to pay him. And that's sort of the thought process going out here. I will say it's interesting. You rarely see a player leave a perceived good team for a worse team. And what I mean by that is when you look up the odds of BetMGM to win the World Series, the Red Sox, as I mentioned, are 25-1. But the Astros, the team Bregman just left, are 16-1. So the numbers are saying he left a better team to go to a worse team. But it's clear that he believes the future is brighter in Boston. And, he took less security because the Red Sox offered a 3-year deal. The Astros offered a 6-year deal. And here he is, member of the Boston Red Sox. They've been busy this offseason. They've addressed a lot of their pitching, a lot of their bullpen, and now a big bat. And Bregman's going to play second base because Rafi Devers plays third base here in Boston. We shall see. This is a team, as you mentioned, has not been good. 3 last place finishes in the last 5 years. They're finally spending money. They're finally bringing in bigger names, and we'll see how that all works out. But you look at what the offseason has sort of progressed into. They've thrown money around, and they've sacrificed prospects to bring in players that help them win now. I mean, at the end of the day, think about what they've done so far this offseason. They bring in Bregman, who's a World Series winner. They trade for a legit ace in Garrett Crochet. They bring in Walker Buehler, who's won a World Series. They bring in Aroldis Chapman, who, even at his age, can still zip the ball. Patrick Sandoval is another pitcher they've acquired. He's hurt. He's still on the injury list, but he will be back at some point. And they also get the following 3 pitchers back from injury: Lucas Giolito, Garrett Whitlock, and Liam Hendricks. They have overhauled the entire pitching staff and added a guy who I believe is going to hit second or third in the lineup. I mean, some people are going to say Devers hit second. Others will say Bregman hit second. It doesn't matter. Tough problem to have, right? Who do we want to hit second or third? Devers or Bregman? Jarren Duran, all-star on top. Casas in the middle, hitting fourth. Yoshida, Trevor Story, Abreu, Connor Wong, and Rafaela hitting ninth. That's a good lineup. Now, do I want to bet them to win the East? I'm thinking about it. I'm warming to the idea. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. Bet the Yankees at almost even money. That will not happen. What I would rather do there is hope that the Yankees start slow, like a lot of teams do sometimes in April. It's cold in New York. Guys get off to bad starts. Maybe Judge is in the bucket. And then that price floats out to 150, 170, and then I would hop in. That's how I play futures coming into a season. You want to get good numbers or high numbers on certain teams, and then let the great teams maybe balloon up a bit. So if you made me make a bet now, I would go Red Sox or Rays. Not the Blue Jays, though, who lost basically everybody with a pulse. 14-1 on Toronto. That was a surprise World Series team last year and the year before. And now the books are saying, come on in. We'll give you 14-1. No Blue Jays for me, but the Red Sox definitely more enticing than they were last year.
And this division last year felt wide open a little bit, at least with the top 3 spots there, and Boston finished third in it. It felt like the Yankees and Orioles were flip-flopping who was chasing that top spot most of the season, where now you have a Red Sox team, like you just mentioned, who has a solid rotation, pitching, great pitching staff, solid bullpen, made some moves. I mean, that was a lot of the issues for the Red Sox last year. So maybe they are one of those teams that is more in the mix and closer to that top spot in the division with the Orioles and Yankees. Like maybe it turns into more of a 3-team race. I mean, Rays at 9-1, that could be just good value right now. But yeah, I think at plus 425, the Red Sox, not a bad look. What about their win total? I believe before it was 84.5. I don't know if that's changed at all before, after Bregman within the last 24 hours. 84.5. They won 81 games last year. So you got better. You should maybe, I mean, assume that then your record hopefully gets better. Is that anything you'd want to take a look at?
I would do it now. I would do it before the hype train continues to roll. MGM is up to 85.5. There's another book, 86.5. So it's moving up a little bit, but this is a team you want to bet before the season. However you play it, whether it's make the playoffs, win the division, over the win total, this is a team you buy before the season starts. And you want to get ahead of them being better than market believes. That rotation is suddenly deep, Kate. And having to do Red Sox pregame and postgame the last 4 years, the team didn't have the starting depth. I mean, they brought Rich Hill into the mix a couple years ago, age 40 plus, whatever he was, and he couldn't cut it. They had Michael Wacha. They were trying to bring in all these older guys, and now they might go 6-man rotation for stretches of the season. You got Crochet, Houck, Bayo, Crawford, Walker Buehler, Giolito. There's more depth on top, and that's important for them. And I know people are listening now like, why are they talking about the Red Sox so much? Well, it's the news of the day in baseball. Bringing in AlexBregman, that's a big deal. I'm buying Red Sox stock. I'd go over the win total, and I'm definitely thinking about them to win the American League East. 4.25 at MGM, and some books even bigger than that. 450, I see 480. Just get the best number, whatever you do. Home run leader. I know some people are going to bet Judge. It will not be me, Kate. I need a bigger number than 3-1.
Sam, I'm like so excited right now because, baseball is not my forte, right? We can talk MLB, but my knowledge lies more so in basketball, NBA, football, all that good jazz. So, but in looking at some home run leaders last night, Kyle Schwarber is who I wrote down as who I would take. That price right there, Kyle Schwarber the last couple of years, 46, 47 to the 3 seasons ago, 38 last year, a little down year for him. He also has free agency coming up at the end of this season. So maybe, I think players always want to go out and show a good performance, but especially when you're entering a free agent season, off season. So yeah, Schwarber, love that pick. It makes me feel good that you threw that out there, and that's who I had my eye on. Jake, is there anyone that you have your eye on further down the board that could compete in this market?
Yeah, there were a couple. Gunnar Henderson popped to me at 35-1, a guy who hit 37 last year. Listen, we're all going to be chasing Ohtani and Judge, and those guys are always going to have the 60 home run upside. But those are two guys also who have had trouble staying on the field. So then if there's a drop-off, I want somebody that can reach that 45-ish mark. And Gunnar Henderson hit almost 40 last year, and that was with a significant second-half decline as well. So I think that there's some upside there with him, a guy that almost, or at least was in the running for MVP last year. So 35-1 for Henderson, like that. If he could ever stay healthy for a full season, Corey Seager at 50-1 is somebody that I think has a ton of hashtag value in that Texas lineup. He has the protection. It's a decent hitter's park. He had 33 while only playing 119 games a couple of years ago. He had 30 last year while playing only, I think, 120. Like, if he could ever just stay healthy for a full 162 and not have these weird rib and wrist and back injuries that, are pretty big parts of a baseball swing. 50-1 for Corey Seager is something that I would have a ton of interest in. And there's two guys at 180-1 that I really like. Tristan Cassis and Lawrence Butler of the Red Sox and the A's, respectively. Cassis, same thing. Like, if he could ever just stay healthy. Last year, he had a rib injury that he described as a car crash inside of his body, but all of his contact numbers are elite. All of his barrel numbers are very, very good. Talk about a lineup with a lot of protection. Think he has somebody that could go on a tear and get that 40, 45 upside. We haven't seen it yet because he hasn't played a full year, but I think the upside is definitely there with Casas, especially at the number 180 to 1. And then same thing for Lawrence Butler. Yeah, only hit 22 last year, but he was one of the best hitters in baseball for like a good 2-month stretch. That A's lineup, I know everybody's going to look at the A's and say, oh, well, it's the A's. Yeah, we have to see what the park in Sacramento is going to be like, but I think that Lawrence Butler, the peak of what we saw last year, definitely implies that the number should be shorter than 181 for him for sure. Also, the big thing with home runs, like baseball, can we know what kind of baseball we're going to use this year? Are we getting the cement balls that don't go anywhere and don't leave the park at all? Or are we getting the wiffle balls? Like, what are we getting this year? That's what we also have to know.
What we're getting is 13 bets from Jake in the home run leader market. I love this. You're treating it like a golf market. it's like
and all
golf
players that are
outright.
injury prone. It's like betting on Mike Trout to win a home run leader. The guy can't make it
There's a
to 20
couple
games.
guys I would cross off, though. Like, in all seriousness, I would cross off Soto. He just doesn't have the power to do it. I love Soto. I mean, Soto might be the best player in the National League that isn't Ohtani. Just not the power that you need to hit 45, 50 home runs. The other guy's Trout. Trout's 30 to 1. Even when healthy, Mike Trout doesn't have this massive year. I mean, he hit 45 in 19. And I don't think 45 is enough in this modern day. So I love Trout. I love Soto. I wouldn't be betting those guys. I like Schwarber because he hits leadoff and sees a lot of fastballs. Because you got to get through him to get to Turner and Harper and Baum and Castellanos and all that. So I don't think Schwarber's a bad bet given the names near the top at 12. Let me ask you about one more guy, Jake. What about Brent Rooker? They got him at 22 to 1. He's starting to figure himself out. Granted, he's not a young kid anymore, right? He's pushing 30, but he mashes the baseball. And you brought up the park in Sacramento. They're playing in a glorified minor league park. Maybe he hits a couple more than the average bear, if you know what I'm saying.